So, Mother's Day. We're going to broaden that a little bit and take the feminine principle that's part of all of us. We are, of course, both masculine principle, feminine principle. We hold it all within us. The feminine principle is the receptive nature that receives spirit and is impregnated with the divine ideas. It's those insights, those creative flashes that come to us, the aha moments where we know, being open and receptive to what's already there. That's the feminine principle. And then, of course, that feminine principle gives birth to newness. Now, remember, in the beautiful reading that John was reading, which I actually looked up this yesterday, too, to use, and he said Jesus knew that love must be universal to reach its maturity. And that's part of the divine feminine principle, is to bring love to a place of universality, that it's something we practice and become, so it becomes mature and we become the oneness that we already are. We don't become it, we accept it. Now, those little flashes of inspiration, I love the way they come in your life. Don't you love them? Are you still in awe of the synchronicities of life? I mean, in that childlike wonder. I'm always in that place. And I was having my theological discussion this week with Dr. Jim, and I got a new Science of Mind textbook. It's a big fat one. It has the 1926 version of the Science of Mind and the most recent version, and they're together, and it's a big fat book. And we were talking about making the call, and we were going to look up that beautiful reading that John read, and open the book. Right in the middle of the book, right at the end of the 1926 version, is a poem that Ernest Holmes wrote about the call from Spirit. It's Spirit's making the call to us to tell us what's possible. And it says, "This I saw, or else some inner presence made it known to me. The universe is filled with life. The air, the sky, the sea teem with intelligence, with majesty and might. And deep within me, some subtle inner sight beholds and sees and comprehends and knows all." Something within me sees and beholds and comprehends all. Not fears nor falters, but answers the divine call. Of course, that call is just urging us to expand and grow and become and know even more the divine call, to be as one, beyond the bounds of time and space, to overcome the bondage and fears of the human race, and leap with trust, undaunted, free, into the depths of that infinite sea, whose waters calm are ready to receive those who in simple faith believe. So that's the call that you and I are hearing. The call, to expand in the beauty of life, the allness of life, the ever-evolvingness of life. But what I find out is sometimes this stuff is easy to understand, the universal principles. You can go, okay, I get it. Yeah, there's a place in me that connects. Yeah, I get it. But it's really hard to integrate it sometimes, isn't it? To integrate the principles and really live them, like living that unconditional love to help it get to its maturity. How are you doing on that? It's Mother's Day. How are you doing on that? Okay, good. Well, we're going to talk about what it takes to really live the principles. You know, it's easy, as I said, we can read them, and it's not easy, but it's understandable. But to really integrate them, it takes some doing. And if you think about Mother's Day and what we do as these little human beings, we sometimes get these feedback loops of negativity. You know, feedback loops of, oh, my mom didn't give me this, so that's why I'm the way I am. Anybody ever said that? A few times. We're getting these loops of blame and judgment, and they go, well, don't feel bad. It's because there is an energy in this world, a race consciousness that can suck us down into negativity, the feedback loops that keeps going round and round. But I'm going to tell you what, when you're in those loops, you absolutely plug up that conduit to the divine call. We have to stop and resist the blaming and judging because it cuts off all that comprehension of knowing of that something greater. So how do we open that channel so we can hear the call and be guided? We can have the faith. We can believe in something greater that we can't see. How do we do that? I want you to think right now. Did anybody have one of those little feedback loops when you woke up this morning? Oh, I've got so much to do today. Or, oh, I'm going to be all alone today. Or, oh, this isn't. Did anybody? How about on the way to the center here? How about right now? I mean, those loops get pretty caught up. We can have them and they go round and round. How do we get out of them? Do you ever ask yourself? Have you ever watched yourself talking to yourself and you think, well, that's ridiculous, but you don't know how to stop it? Well, I'm going to tell you. Those negative feedback loops constrict us and bind us, or the thoughts of possibility expand us. So a simple thing to ask yourself is, what is the highest thought I could have in this moment? And I guarantee you it's not those negative feedback, blaming, and judging thoughts. What is the highest thought I can have in this moment that can expand me and take me to that place where I can see something more? Ask yourself, am I living in the problem or the solution? You know, if we really think about it, I believe we choose our parents. You think your parents ever said, why did I choose that one? We're in the perfect place. It's all divine right action. So just unravel yourself for a minute. Now, we're going to talk about the different shapes and faces and all the things that moms and dads go through, in this world. But just take a moment and just let your eyes gently rest and let your mind just set on your heart. And I'm going to ask you the question, what is the highest thought right now? You can either have about your mom or a wonderful mother figure, feminine, divine principle person in your life. What is the highest thought you can think right now? And just imagine just a little energy bubble of, the white sparklies, as I call them, the sparklies of love and possibility and light. And we know in spirit, if your mom is past, or if she's here, if she's far away, if she's in this room, it doesn't matter. There is no time or space in the mind of God, in the mind of spirit. Just send that loving thought right now, the highest thought, as we feed the consciousness of love on this planet. Just feed it with the energy and essence that you are, and see yourself expanding in the light. How good it is. How good it feels. Wow. Beautiful. Thank you. Another way you can make sure that you are a perfect conduit for the divine call that's ever calling and reminding you, there's possibilities here, there's creative energy here, it's all for you, life is inherently good. All those things are going around. How do we keep our channels open? Well, number one, and you'll ask any mom, but balance. Giving, receiving. The divine balance, the flow of life. We have to be in the flow of life. If we're out of balance, again, we're not going to be in that receptive state where we can feed the good the universe is continually calling us to see, to know, to be aware of. So the balance of life. I got a book, and I haven't read much of it. A friend recommended it to me, and it's just a little book. It was written by Wayne Mueller, who's a beautiful minister, a spiritual teacher, a lecturer, an author of many, many wonderful books. This little book is a life of being enough, having enough, and doing enough. Doesn't that sound good? I mean, I just need to read the title of it, the cover, and it feels good. Being enough, being receptive to all life has to offer. Having enough, using that creative process to receive in your life, to have the things you want, and doing enough so you're sharing the benefits of your gifts and talents and treasures, how good it is. He shares a story, and again, I just opened to one page, and it was a beautiful story it's a story told about Jesus when he was having dinner with his friends and disciples. And this was just shortly before his crucifixion, a couple of weeks before his crucifixion. And they were there having dinner. And a woman, Mary Magdalene, walks in with a beautiful alabaster jar. And it's filled with very expensive oils. And she begins anointing Jesus' head and his feet. And the disciples, which they would often do when they didn't understand something. I want you to hear that. They would often do this when they didn't understand something. They'd get angry and confused. And they said, why is this woman here? Why is this woman using this expensive jar and these expensive oils when we could sell it and give it to the poor? And Jesus looked at his disciples and said, the poor will always be with you. And what does it mean when he said that? What is he saying? Is that we're never going to solve the problem of people being poor? No, what he was saying is there's always work to do in this world. There's always things to give to. There's always people who need our help, our love, our compassion, our resources, whatever it is. That will always be there. But Jesus was saying, this is my time to receive. This is my time to take the sacred gifts that are being given by this wonderful woman who aches to give these things to me. And just imagine if he'd said no. When we say no to receiving, we're not only hurting ourselves, but the one who wants to give the gifts. And what a wonderful lesson for us. There was another poem by Mark Nepo, which I think is a beautiful poem. It's called Accepting This. And he says, we cannot eliminate hunger, but we can feed each other. We cannot eliminate loneliness, but we can hold each other. We cannot eliminate pain, but we can live with great love and compassion. There's always work to be done. There's always things to do, but we must make sure that we're balancing that by getting what we need. What is it right now that would fill your soul? Just ask, what is it I need right now to open the channels that I can receive in even greater good right now? And make sure you block off some time in your calendar. Make sure you give to the beautiful, divine child of God that you are. Take time to do that. It's so important. But again, that's only a piece of the puzzle. That's only part of the balance. Once we nourish ourselves, fill ourselves, we need to go out and do the action. Prayer without works is nothing. We have to make sure we do our work. We go out there and we make the call. We make the call and make sure that we're not just, we're in the balance, the flow of life. Doesn't just flow of life sound good? How many of you feel like you're in the flow of life right now? You got a good balance. Good. There's a lot of you that still, it's a process. We get off balance at times, and it's just a continual refocusing. You know, it's the choices we make that determine our lives. It's not our heritage that determines our life. Of course, it influences us. We know now, scientists are showing that our DNA can be changed by our beliefs, by our thoughts. It's the choices we make. It's the point of view we choose to have that determines our experience. So we need to make sure we focus on that beautiful, keeping the balance in our life. And once we have the balance, we got to make the call to up-level our lives. We have to make the call to do something more. And this was another passage from the Living the Science Mind. And Ernest Holmes says, a major partnership is searching for new partners. Guess who they are? It's called God and Company. God is the senior partner. The all-knowing intelligence, the unconditional love, the one mind. That's the senior partner. We're the company. Now let me tell you about this company. The business cannot be divided, dissolved, or bought out. Its literal definition is too big to fail because God is all there is. And if God is good, what kind of company is this? It's a really big, good company. It's a big one. It's a good one. Because there's always an activity going on when Spirit's there. And every part of that company is perfect, whole, and complete. Everything is perfect, whole, and complete. It's in the business of accumulation and distribution. Again, the flow. In balance, the flow of life. Must keep that flow to keep things working in tandem with the divine. There is no hierarchy or chain of command. The entire stock of goods has an unlimited supply, which means all our needs are met right now. Not all our wants are satisfied, but all our needs are met right now. The senior partner plays no favorites among the partners. Do you get that? Plays no favorites. God sees each and every one of us, spirit and infinite intelligence sees each and every one of us alike. There are a set of rules and laws, and some of the rules and laws are, in any business that you're in, you're going to reap exactly what you put out. It's the law of cause and effect, the law of correspondence, the law of reciprocity. You're going to get what you put into it. You're going to get what you put into it. And there is no limit to the senior partner's generosity. If that's true, we need to be more open to receive. We need to be more open to receive and give our gifts. I don't think there is a person here that doesn't want to live a life that matters. Would I be right? We all want to matter. All want to matter and make a difference. That's what's important in this world. We want to matter, make a difference, live an empowered, fulfilling life. We want to have the balance of giving, receiving, and sharing the light. We had a blessing this week of going to an interfaith prayer breakfast at Saddleback Hospital. And there was a beautiful speaker there and his name is Michael Josephson. Michael Josephson is a former attorney and law professor, and he has moved on to create a nonprofit Institute of Ethics in Los Angeles, California. And he goes around lecturing and speaking about ethics in life. How do we live a life that matters? And that's what he talked about. That's a lot of the basis of what he does. And I know as moms and dads, we not only want to live a life that matters, but we want to make sure that we give children opportunities to live lives that matter. And I want to share this poem with you before we honor our mothers. And this is one of the staple poems he uses as really a crux of his lectures and talks. And he said, "Ready or not, someday it will all come to an end. The wins and losses that once seemed so important will fade away. It won't matter where you came from or what side of the tracks you lived on at the end. It won't matter whether you were beautiful or brilliant. Even your gender and skin color will be irrelevant. So what will matter? How will the value of your days be measured? What will matter is not what you bought, but what you built. Not what you got, but what you gave. What will matter is not your success, but your significance. What will matter is not what you learned, but what you taught. What will matter is every act of integrity, compassion, courage, or sacrifice that has enriched someone's life they wanted to emulate you. What will matter is not your competence, but your character. What will matter is not how many people you knew, but how many will feel a lasting loss when you're gone. What will matter is not your memories, but the memories of you that live in those you love. What will matter is how long you will be remembered, by whom, and for what. Living a life that matters doesn't happen by accident. It's not a matter of circumstance, but of choice. Choose a life that matters. And at this time, I'd like to I want to tell you a little bit about the history of Mother's Day. Of course, Mother's Day goes back to the ancient Greeks when they celebrated Rhea, the mother of the gods. And then to early England in the 1600s when the early Christians celebrated Mother Mary, and they had a Mother's Day for Mother Mary, and then expanded it into Mothering Sunday. Now, in the United States, Mother's Day was established after the Civil War because Julia Ward Howe was so devastated that all these mothers' sons were going out to the carnage of this war. And she wanted the mothers from the North and the South to come together in peace. to honor their children. And so really Mother's Day is about peace. It's about celebrating peace in our lives and the lives of our children. And we'd like to celebrate our moms today, even though I know moms and dads, and it's all together right now. But moms, those that they come in so many different packages. So I'm going to just read some of the ways that moms show up, and I want you to stand when I speak to you. Here's the wide spectrum of mothering. To those who gave birth this year to their firstborn child, we celebrate you. To those who lost a child this year, or any year, we mourn you. To those who are in the trenches with little ones right now, with batches of baby food stains and all the diapers and everything else, we certainly appreciate you. We don't have anybody in any of these categories yet. To those who have experienced loss due to miscarriage, failed adoptions, or running away, we mourn with you. To those who walk the hard path of infertility, fraught with pokes and prods and tears of disappointment, we walk with you. And forgive us if we say foolish things. We certainly do not mean to hurt you. To those who are foster moms, mentor moms, and spiritual moms, we need you. To those who have warm and close relationships with your children, we celebrate you. To those who have disappointment, heartache, and distance with your children, we sit with you. To those who have experienced abuse at the hands of your own mother, we acknowledge your experience. To those who lived through driving tests, medical tests, and the overall testing of motherhood, we are better for having you in our midst. To those who have aborted children, we remember you on this day. And those who are single and long to be married and mothering your own children, we mourn that life has not turned out the way you would long it to be. For those who step-parent, we walk with you on this complex path. To those who have envisioned lavishing love on grandchildren, yet that dream is yet to be, we grieve with you. To those who will have emptier nests this upcoming year, we grieve and we rejoice with you. To those who place children up for adoption, we commend you for your selflessness and remember how you hold that child in your heart. And all those women who are pregnant with new life, both expecting and surprising, we anticipate you. This day is for all of you, all of us. Hang in there. We can only do the best we can. Tell them every day in your own way that you love them, and pray. Now it's important. All moms want to feel they matter. So stay standing. I want those of you that are seated, I want you to go to somebody close by and make sure everybody gets touched. And I want you to think the highest thought you could, whatever you shared maybe about your mom, and I want you to whisper it to this woman to make her feel she matters. And just do that right now, right at your seats. Let's make every woman here recognize and know how much they matter in this world. I'm just going to ask all of us on this day, as we choose to up-level and think the highest thoughts we can, to be thinking the highest thoughts we can about ourselves, to forgive ourselves, to love ourselves, to know that we've done the best we can. Your little Mother's Day seeds are forget-me-nots. And I want you to know that you will not be forgotten. You are the ones right here in this room to give the greatest legacy this world can have. And the greatest legacy we as mothers and fathers and friends can give this world is a world of happy, productive children that do know that they matter. I want you to know right now how much you make a difference, and I want you to celebrate that. I want you to be free and open to be a conduit, that you can be all that you can be. I want you to dance as if nobody's watching and sing as if nobody's listening. And most importantly, love as if you've never been hurt, because we're on this cycle to get this consciousness of love to be the overarching consciousness, the majority consciousness, the mature consciousness in this world. Because if it doesn't have heart, it's just not going to work. And the truth I know about each one of you, you work, you make it happen, you make the call. I love you all. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Father's Day, happy Divine Feminine Day, happy Divine Masculine, just happy day to each and every one of you. I love you all, and so it is. Thank you. Thank you.